We're so pleased right now to be joined by John Metz, who is the Managing Director and Head of Infrastructure and Banking Technology at Jefferies. Thank you so much for being with us, John.
My pleasure, thank you.
Now tell us a little bit about Jefferies and specifically what you do.
Well, we are a mid-major investment bank, a global investment bank, focused on all the major products around the world. We're not necessarily a bulge bracket like a Goldman Sachs or a Morgan Stanley, but we are a full-service investment bank with focuses on every major product category. And in my particular instance, I'm in the technology group out in San Francisco.
Well, let's talk about trends in technology. I saw a recent stat that about 50% of all acquisitions of these tech companies were purchased by non-tech companies. How is that?
Yeah, there's an interesting trend going on, and specifically, we're seeing two things. One is technology is turning into a horizontal business unit instead of a vertical business focus. So when I started this industry about 25 years ago, technology was a specific vertical, and people would look at us like technology geeks doing interesting deals in the corner of the room. These days, though, technology has turned into a horizontal, meaning it's impacting every major segment of the global economy. So is General Electric, for example, an aircraft manufacturer, or are they an Internet of Things company? Is Tesla an automotive company, or is it a technology company? And the meaning and impact of that is technology is now permeating every segment, and as a result, non-traditional companies are very interested in everything we're doing in the technology space because it's impacting their businesses so much. The second thing is that as the global economy starts coming in on the growth rates, secular growth is declining in the economies in general over the last 10 years. Technology is one of the few harbingers of growth. So as some of these non-traditional buyers are hunting for growth opportunities, they're actually looking in our space for opportunities to grow their businesses.
And your particular company, where are you seeing the most activity?
I would say in my specific area of focus, there's two major topics. One is cybersecurity, and how cybersecurity is impacting all of the major companies around the world. Both from a growth rate perspective, there's an opportunity for buyers, and secondly, with all of the activity for cyber defense and cyber attacks, it's become topical at the board level of almost every major company. So that's one thing. The second thing is omni-commerce, and that's just this idea of the broad retail segment. And in there specifically, it's a lot of defense against Amazon and what Amazon is doing to traditional models around the world of retailers and infrastructure vendors. It's causing a lot of people to really panic and look for opportunities to defend their core businesses against the incursion of some of these next generation retail players.
And amid all of this, we have so many concerns about cybersecurity and the cloud and what would be your advice right now as far as companies who are going into the future? How to run properly and how to be on the forefront of all the technological changes that are happening right now?
Well, I would say defending, you mentioned an interesting observation on the cloud side, defending against the cloud and let's say Amazon or Microsoft and what they're doing in growing massive scale businesses to serve cloud computing to their customers. If you're a traditional supplier of infrastructure and are kind of relegated or committed to that, the traditional form of supplying information technology, the best way to defend against that, I think, is scale. It's becoming a scale and cost efficiency game. So if you're a traditional niche provider of infrastructure, it's a difficult place to be. But if you consolidate and build scale, you can better compete against some of these next generation players, like a company sort of Dell and EMC. That was a big consolidation play in the infrastructure space last year.
You mentioned China. So President Trump was recently in China, and around that time, what was it, more than 30 some odd deals had taken place. Do you think that bilateral trade is going to be something that we're going to be seeing more of?
I would say so. Without getting into the politics of the situation, it's certainly very impactful what's going on with Chinese and U.S. relations and what it means to deal activity in those spaces. I would say there's definitely an increasing sensitivity around the regulatory and you know, I would say IP sensitivity on a cross-border basis. So I would say it's become extremely complex to get a cross-border deal done, particularly a Chinese United States cross-border technology deal. Tremendous amounts of sensitivity there, and I would say notwithstanding this most recent trade discussion or the panel that the president has been involved with, I would say getting cross-border deals done with China has not become easier. It's become more difficult.
Well, the future will be very interesting to watch. Thank you so much for your insight, John. I appreciate you taking the time to talk to us today.